Now broadcasting from the Next Gen Conservative Studio in sunny South Florida, bringing you the latest in politics, current events, and pop culture. This is the Whitfield Report with Sam Whitfield.
And hello there, folks. Welcome to the Monday edition of the podcast. I am your host, Sam Whitfield, and I hope you're having a great Monday wherever you're listening to this during the past, present, future hour. And I hope you all had a good weekend. And we don't have too much to cover here today. Kind of was a quiet weekend. We still have a whole, slew of news to cover this week that will probably happen, soon here. But at any rate, folks, there are a few things that I do want to cover on today's show. Mainly, I want to start off by covering James O'Keefe's exit from Project Veritas, if you will, or rather just give my thoughts on that real quick. Because during the whole, during that whole incident when James O'Keefe apparently got fired as CEO of Project Veritas, that was during the time when my grandfather passed away in early February. And, I heard what happened, with James O'Keefe and, that he was basically fired as CEO from, Project Veritas, or that he was rather asked to step down. And so people asked me to weigh in and give my opinion on this, since many longtime listeners of the show, going back to the days of the Whitfield analysis, know that back in the early days of my career as a podcaster, and back when I used to host the Whitfield analysis on Blog Talk Radio, that was during the whole Tea Party era back in 2010, 2011. And that was during the time of, Project Veritas. James O'Keefe had just started PV, and that was during the infamous Acorn, scandal that took down Acorn and made, James O'Keefe, an infamous figure overnight, and enemy of the far left overnight as well. So, from that perspective, ladies and gentlemen, let me just say that as far as Project Veritas goes, I have, for the most part, always been behind Project Veritas, and more specifically, I have stood behind James O'Keefe. I think that he does a lot of good work for the conservative movement. Not even the conservative movement, but just citizen journalism in general. He is, I would argue, a modern Bob Woodward. He's actually going out there and asking the tough questions that very few people want to ask. And a lot of the tapes, of Project Veritas, a lot of that is all independently done. It's not a publicity stunt. the media likes to try and spin it as such, but no, those hidden cameras are all ordinary citizens, going out there and, doing undercover journalism and scooping real stories. So, from that perspective, Project Veritas has always done good work. And in fact, I was actually at one point considering joining Project Veritas. I went on their website and I applied, but I got an email back basically saying that because I was already because I was already somewhat of a public figure, uh, even with my small presence, that people might recognize me for being a conservative podcaster and not want to talk to me. So, there is that. But, at least they were fair in, saying that they didn't think I would be a good fit for them in that perspective. But, I I've never interviewed James himself on the podcast. He is a guest I would love to get in the future someday. But I do know some Project Veritas journalists, or rather former journalists with Project Veritas. One of them is my friend Dan Sandini, who used to do a YouTube channel called Daylight Disinfectant, uh, which was documenting the Occupy Wall Street stuff out in Portland, Oregon. And Dan has since moved to Florida, where I am actually, and he and I connect every once in a while. And I would be curious to see what he thinks of all this Project Veritas stuff with James basically being forced to leave. Um, I would like to hear his perspective on that. Um, and I also know Leo Stratton, who unfortunately Leo is no longer with us. He died in a car accident a few years ago, and tragically is no longer with us, sadly. Um, but he was a great citizen journalist as well. And then I've met a few other, people along the way that have been associated with Project Veritas that, I know them, but they haven't wanted to go on camera yet or anything. So, I haven't really reached out to any of them regarding their thoughts on, the James O'Keefe firing from uh, Project Veritas. But, here's what I can say based on what I know. James seems to be an honest and upstanding guy. He seems to be very, ethical in his reporting. Maybe he might have to do some, unethical things to get the truth sometimes. He might have to bend the rules to get the scoop, but the best journalists usually do in actuality. And, I do think it's, it's a bit weird and, um, a little bit suspicious the way that he was, I guess, dismissed. I guess his board wanted him to, I guess some board members of Project Veritas accused him of like trying to embezzle money or something. And I don't know if I buy that story fully. There are a lot of particulars within his dismissal that I'm really not sure what happened about. I've heard very conflicting things on the reasons for his dismissal. And I know that's what people want my opinion on, but the truth is, folks, I honestly don't know. The circumstances of his dismissal. Like everyone else, I can only theorize at this point, but that is also why I want to have people on who have been associated with Project Veritas. And I will be working on getting them on the Wednesday show here soon. But, let me say this in regards to, James O'Keefe. Whatever he does in the future, whether that, whether that be, staying with Project Veritas or whether that, be starting his next venture, I will be there with bells on to at least see what he does, because I do think he is an interesting figure. And honestly, I've said this before that, Rush Limbaugh was the reason why I started podcasting and broadcasting on radio. But it was really Andrew Breitbart and to an extension, James O'Keefe himself, who really showed me through their example just how powerful, this new media, although it's not so new anymore. We've had social media, for at least 15 years now, probably. But, back in the day, back when I started podcasting and whatnot, this whole social media landscape was still new. And conservatives did not know how to navigate this space at all. And a lot of them still don't, but the effective ones now are getting censored, the bejesus out of. Yours truly, for example, no longer has a YouTube, as I've discussed at length, over the past couple episodes. But, James O'Keefe and Andrew Breitbart really back in, 2010, 2011, really when I started podcasting, Rush was the one who laid the ground out for how to be a successful, talk show host and whatnot. But it was Andrew Breitbart and James O'Keefe that really showed myself and many other young conservatives at the time how to disseminate the information and how to be effective in this new, 21st century landscape of the internet. And, Breitbart's been gone since 2012, so a lot has changed, obviously, since then. But James is still here, and one thing I would definitely like to ask him, out of curiosity, is I would like to hear his opinion on how the landscape of, media and citizen journalism has changed since he started, because it has sure changed since I started my, podcasting and, media career almost 15 years ago, coming March. Geez, we'll be celebrating I'll be celebrating 15 years of podcasting on March 25th of this year. That is, wow, that is unbelievable to think on. But, I don't know if James O'Keefe did anything wrong. I don't know if, he got framed or set up. I know that people on Twitter are kind of theorizing that, Project Veritas was subverted by the left, and that's why James O'Keefe was outed. It's the deep state going after O'Keefe now that Biden's back in office. I don't know that that's the case. I would find it highly. Let me put it this way. On the one hand, I don't think that would happen. I think Project Veritas probably has a good method for keeping, ne'er-do-wells out of their, employment lines, much less out of their, boardroom meetings. So, I think they probably have precautions against such a thing. But then I also think that, on the other hand, anything's possible these days, right, folks? So you just never know in regards to that type of behavior. Um, more than likely what happened was it was just a business decision gone south and changes were made. Um, and now O'Keefe is going to move on and do his next project. But that's why I want to get people on from Project Veritas to discuss that and see what they have to say for themselves. So I will be working on that in the next few weeks. And, one final thing on the James O'Keefe subject, I did watch his farewell address as CEO when he, gave his farewell address. And obviously there were, some sad things, but he seemed very genuine and very honest about how, he's done some great work, but he also made some mistakes. And people have asked me if I might be willing to, do a breakdown of the video. And if people really want that, ladies and gentlemen, like maybe on like a Friday or some extra day, I might do that if you guys really want it. But by and large, I don't think there's any reason to. I'm trying to keep these Monday podcasts under an hour long if possible. And that farewell address of his is like 45 minutes long in total. And for me to, pause every few minutes and break it down would just add a lot more length to it. But if that is something that you guys want, maybe we'll do that once one of the Project Veritas people are here on the program. We can maybe do that if that's something the audience would like. So reach out to me, let me know in the comments on Odyssey or Rumble if that's something you want. And or if you're listening on the podcast, send me a note on my socials and let me know if that's something you would want. But in essence, I just wish James O'Keefe the best of luck in whatever venture he pursues. And those are my thoughts on the matter for right now. All right, so with that out of the way, folks, I do kind of want to shift over to something, a bit more lighthearted and a bit more entertaining and fun. So I have not watched Saturday Night Live in probably since I was a freshman in high school, if I'm being honest. Um, you know, both of my favorite SNL personalities, uh, Dennis Miller and Norm Macdonald, their eras had already come and gone from SNL really before I was even really around, right? I'm kind of like a nostalgia guy for that sort of thing, as most people know. So SNL when I was growing up had kind of gone downhill. But they have had good bits over the years, and thankfully, because of the internet, there is a way to, view some of that stuff that's pretty, good. So, I guess this past weekend, Woody Harrelson, who I had always thought was a, Hollywood lefty by default, apparently he dropped a few bombshells about vaccines and big pharma. I've seen little bits and clips of this, but I've not seen the full monologue. So what you'll be seeing is my genuine reaction to this, and I am genuinely curious as to what the whole hoopla is at. So here is Woody Harrelson's SNL monologue from the other night, this past weekend. And yeah, let's go ahead and roll the tape here.
Thank you very, very much. Hello, you beautiful people. And you ugly people, too. No, I jest. This country seems so divided, beautiful, ugly, black, white, blue, red. I love everybody. Maybe because I'm a redneck hippie. The red in me thinks you should be allowed to own guns. The blue in me thinks squirt guns. So I'm red and blue, which makes purple. I'm purple. So this is my 5th time doing SNL. Yeah. And you know what that means. No jacket. Oh, okay. The last time I did SNL was around Thanksgiving 2019, 3 years ago, and you will not believe what happened after the show. The next day was a Sunday, as it always is the day after I do Saturday Night Live. It's like a pattern, I noticed. Anyway, I went walking in the greatest part of this.
His, he does have a little bit of Norm Macdonald, and I guess he's from that generation of comics. And for those of you young Zoomers out there who may be watching, Woody Harrelson got his start on a show called Cheers, which was the prequel to a series called Frasier, which I have referenced often on this show. So, go watch both of those. You're welcome.
The city, Central Park, leaned against a tree and started to read the craziest script. Oh, okay, full disclosure, I smoked a joint first. The reason I like herb more than alcohol is because it makes me feel good, no hangover, and I never wake up covered in blood. But regardless, I have decided to quit smoking pot altogether, and I'm sticking with it till after the show. Yeah, last week in Austin, I was talking with my friend Nick, and we have a lot in common. He wrote True Detective, and I was in True Detective. I'm vegan, and all the animals he eats are vegan. Anyway, I was complaining about how I start smoking around noon and get progressively dumber as the day unfolds. Forget basic words, simple objects, etc. And I was hoping that the wifey poo might say, oh, no, that's not true. But instead she says, at least you're aware of it. And I say, well, that doesn't feel like much consolation. And she says, think of all the dumb people who don't know they're dumb. You're ahead of them. Oh, thanks, hon. But on top of the herb, I'm a wee bit of a drinker? I don't know why I went Irish there. Anyway, but in a personal triumph, last year I had
that's racist against Irish people, Woody. Bad. No, just kidding. So far nothing really controversial here. I'm not sure what all the fuss is about, but you know what? Let's see here. I saw some highlights, but yeah, let's keep going here, shall we?
7 months with no alcohol. And 5 glorious months. Anyway, what were we talking about? Oh yeah, I was telling you about that script. So I blazed a fatty, which, I got in L.A. At my dispensary, The Woods. I mean, obviously, I didn't transport the herb from California to New York because that's highly illegal. My manager, Jeremy, did. Yeah. He muled it from L.A. Yeah. Speaking of Jeremy, he's here tonight. Yeah. Yeah. He's newly single, ladies. Very handsome. I know he would prefer that I talk about our movie Champions that's coming out in 2 weeks. It's comedic masterpiece, but I'm not here to sell Champions. It sells itself. Projections have it making more than Avatar, but whatever. I'm no salesman, I don't. Where was I? Yeah, okay, no. So 3 years ago, Central Park, Sunday morning, the Lord's Day. Trying to resist the temptation to puff too early in the day. Of course, I succumbed. Like a lot of people, I have a devil on one shoulder, and on the other shoulder, I have a larger, more frightening devil. And there's a battle going on in here, I'm just saying that I am many different things. Anarchist, Marxist, ethical, hedonist, non-discriminatory empath, epistemological deconstructionist, Texan. But back to the tree in Central Park in that script. Put yourselves in my place. Lay the curve of your neck against the roots of the tree. What kind of tree was it? I mean, what kind of trees they have in Central Park? Oh, yeah, it was a palm tree. So, lay your head on the palm, fire up a hooter from Jeremy, and start reading. Okay, so the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes, and people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is gonna believe that crazy idea? Being forced to do drugs? I do that voluntarily all day long. Anyway, it's about that time. Come on. Still no jacket.
Holy shit, that was okay. That was a little bit brilliant, not gonna lie. Let me go back. It's very subtle what he does.
And over. I threw the script away.
Okay. Let's see here.
Frightening devil. And there's a battle going on in here, I'm just saying that I am many different things. Anarchist, Marxist, ethical, hedonist, non-discriminatory empath, epistemological deconstructionist, Texan. But back to the tree in Central Park in that script. Put yourselves in my place. Lay the curve of your neck against the roots of the tree. What kind of tree was it? I mean, what kind of trees they have in Central Park? Oh, yeah, it was a palm tree. So, lay your head on the palm, fire up a hooter from Jeremy, and start reading. Okay, so the movie goes like this. The biggest drug...
All right, this is going to be good.
Start reading. Okay, so the movie goes like this. The biggest drug cartels in the world get together and buy up all the media and all the politicians and force all the people in the world to stay locked in their homes. And people can only come out if they take the cartel's drugs and keep taking them over and over. I threw the script away. I mean, who is going to believe that crazy idea? Being forced to do drugs? I do that voluntarily all day long.
Wow. Okay, so this is a 6-minute lead up, basically, to a 30-second red pill here, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, and the other funny thing is he's building up along the way saying, hey, I'm a bit, red. I'm a bit blue too. I'm purple. I've got, some socialism in me. I've got some, right wing in me too. I'm a bit, so he's setting it up and he's slipping it in there. Well done, sir. This has been, that 30 seconds has made people lose their mind. But, yeah. So, wow, well done, Mr. Harlson. Well done, sir.
Anyway, it's about that time. Come on. Still no Jack. Okay. Well, we got a great show for you tonight. Jack White is here, so stick around.
Okay, yeah, so that's pretty much the end of the monologue there. But, yeah, I mean, he basically laid out what Big Pharma's plans have been, in the scenario for the, in the form of like an imaginary movie script. And that is the thing, ladies and gentlemen, is we are living in a time now where truth is stranger than fiction. 10 years ago, if you had told me 10 years ago that in 2020 we would have all been locked in our houses and forced to wear masks out in public and whatnot, I probably would have said, wow, that's a really good idea for a science fiction movie. But now look at where we are, folks, and I think that's his point overall. Very, very subtle throw a line there. So, I'm wondering, I know Woody showed his manager, in the shot there, but I'm starting to wonder if, if he has the same manager or what's going to happen to him. But anyway, I like I said, well done, Mr. Harlson, well done. So yeah, that was just kind of my little fun reaction to that. And really, I don't have too much else to cover on the show today as far as topics go. Couple quick housekeeping things that I do want to mention. A lot of people have been asking if I'm going to start another YouTube channel for the podcast. And, I think I've made this answer pretty clear, ladies and gentlemen. But at this point, no. I have no intention of starting a new YouTube channel for the show. At least to live stream it. The reason being primarily is because, I already have a YouTube account that I used to watch videos just casually and, tune into other people's streams. And I do not want to get that account banned, by posting TWR content there. And then, starting another channel for the Whitfield Report. Technically, that would be ban evasion. And although I don't really care about YouTube's rules in regards to that, or although I normally wouldn't, the thing of it is building up a YouTube, audience again. I mean, it took me roughly 10 years to build up the Whitfield Report channel. Or no, more like 8 years because I started in 2014, but still, it took me a decade to get where I am now almost. And I was 200 away. I was only 200 subs away from getting a 1,000 subs, and they whacked the channel, before I could make that happen. And on top of everything else, they would constantly. I got 2 channel strikes, and not just that, but they would constantly hide my streams, in the algorithm. The algorithm would not show my content in people's feeds. People would get unsubbed from my channel constantly or have to, resubscribe. Notifications would never go out on time, for the channel. So, in essence, YouTube, even if they don't ban me, even if they didn't ban me, they they made life difficult for the podcast. And then on the day I come back from hiatus, that's when they strike my channel down ultimately. And ladies and gentlemen, at this point, and I'm recording this episode on Monday, February 27th, 2023, YouTube has still not given me a reason as to why my channel was terminated. I appealed to get the channel back, and they have not gotten back to me, and I'd like to think that's because they're manually reviewing it, but honestly, that's probably because they just haven't reviewed it yet. And you know what? I'm pretty sure they're not going to bring the channel back. So, look, I know that YouTube is the biggest platform out there as far as videos and streaming go. I know that it's, convenient. I know that, it's just so easy to click on a live stream and watch. That's why people enjoy it, just because we're used to it, basically, ladies and gentlemen. We're used to YouTube in our lives. And I get that, okay? I get that, full stop. But when YouTube makes it nearly impossible for a small independent content creator like me to grow, right? To grow my channel, when really I'm not putting any content out there that's really edgy or anything, and yet they've still been, pretty censorious to me over the years. So they've fucked with my, content. They, they deranked me majorly on YouTube, and then they ultimately shut my channel down in the midst of a broadcast when I was eulogizing my grandfather. And they never gave me any reason as to why that stream was shut down or why my channel was terminated. Let me ask you, ladies and gentlemen, why would I start another YouTube channel? We have all of our content over on Odyssey. We have, well, most of it over on Odyssey. We have all of our content on Rumble. I have nearly every episode of the show distributed as a podcast, which you can either watch and or listen to on Spotify. And you can definitely listen to every episode of the show on pretty much any of the audio platforms. So, folks, I mean, like I said, I know YouTube is convenient, but we have other alternatives. And quite frankly, based on what I'm hearing, even if I were to get monetized, right? Let's say I were to get my channel back and somehow I were able to make it to 1,000. Cool. YouTube is taking over 40% or 35% of super chats. Last time I checked. Memberships on YouTube, they're taking a percentage of that. So unless you have like a major channel on YouTube, it's getting really difficult to gain traction over there, ladies and gentlemen. Odyssey is only difficult to grow because not too many people know about it. And I suspect that's going to change because with YouTube's new CEO coming in, we'll cover that more when it becomes official and we know a bit more about the guy. But from what I'm hearing, he's not much better than Susan Wojcicki. And so I think you're going to have even more of a massive influx of, creators to platforms like Odyssey and Rumble. Maybe not Rumble so much for normies because Rumble is kind of seen more as like a conservative platform, but definitely Odyssey. And that is the key, right? We need to get more, non-political, non-culture war, content creators on platforms like Odyssey. And it is starting to happen, but we definitely need more, content creators over on Odyssey. This is not me, I'm not sponsored by Odyssey either. So, this is me just independently saying that, the more independent content creators go to Odyssey, the better. And we're already set up over there to take memberships, ladies and gentlemen. We already accept super chats on Odyssey. Yes, it has its glitches at times, but so does YouTube. It works out more often than not better, than YouTube even at sometimes. So, in essence, ladies and gentlemen, what I'm trying to say here is that yes, I will continue to try and appeal, to YouTube and see what I can do to get the old channel back. And for all of you who are reaching on my behalf, I really do appreciate it. However, that is at the bottom list of my goals and my priorities list right now. My main goal for right now is to grow the Odyssey channel and the Rumble channel. Although, to be honest, like I do like Odyssey's, platform a little bit better. So that's my goal. So that is my goal, to basically try and migrate all my subscribers over to Odyssey as best as we can. And again, I mean, I know money is tight, but the more people who can, subscribe and do the memberships thing per month, the better. Right? On a good night, let's say, if I were to get all of my 800 or so subscribers to basically move to Odyssey, right? And then let's say on Wednesday night that 60 of you, which is usually what on a good night, that's usually what the streams get, is around 60. If even 10 of you were subscribed at the $5, a month level, that would really start to bring in income for the channel. I would be able to upgrade my equipment more, get some better, sounding mics and, an audio interface and all of that. And we could start to maybe throw some members only events, maybe do like a monthly call-in show, maybe even do it weekly, just for the members. These are the types of things that I want to be able to give you guys, as host of the Whitfield Report. And these are the things that right now only Odyssey, and to a certain extent Substack are allowing me to do. YouTube's not doing it. YouTube, you have to crack 1,000 just to be able to be monetized for pennies on the dollar. So it's not worth it at this point, ladies and gentlemen. And I hope you're gonna understand that. But I really wanted to just take a moment to really address that for you guys as to why I'm not pursuing YouTube, ultimately because I think in the long run it'll be a waste of time for this show. And yeah, we might be slow to grow right now, but as more people go over to Odyssey and seek out these new platforms, I think we'll be pretty golden in the future. And, with that in mind, folks, I think that'll about do it for the, for tonight's show. Joining us on Wednesday, we will have Craig D. Mansfeld, who is a chemical engineer, and he will be joining us on Wednesday night at 9 p.m. To discuss these train derailments that have been going on over the country of all of the chemicals and the situation in Ohio and all of that. I'll be asking some of the conspiracy related questions and hopefully he can either confirm or disprove some of them. And as I said, Mr. Mansfeld is an actual chemical engineer, so he knows what he's talking about. I don't know his background too much, so I'm sure we'll spend the first hour or so of Wednesday night's show getting into that. But it should be an interesting conversation. I'll have a lot to talk with him about, and I'm sure that either Shmuley or Max will be joining us for that show. So that'll be Wednesday night, streaming live on Odyssey and Rumble if I can get it to work. And as always, the podcast will be available, next day on Spotify and all the other podcast platforms. So, be looking forward to that. And ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you so much for tuning into the show tonight or whenever you're listening to this. God bless, God, freedom, legacy in that order, and I will see you on the next show.
Thanks for listening to The Whitfield Report on the NGC Network. Please visit Sam's website at www.thesamwhitfield.com. and support Sam on Patreon at patreon.com/Whitfield Report. Until next time, God bless, God save this great nation, and God, freedom, legacy, in that order.